All right, let's jump right into this explainer and explore the awe-inspiring birth and sprawling lore of a literally sentient universe. We're looking at the ethereal star system, a place where magic, advanced cosmic tech, and sheer willpower completely collide. If you love rich world building, well, you're in for an incredible journey today.
Just so we don't get lost in the cosmos, here's our quick roadmap. We'll start with the birth of the ethereal. Head down to Yaenddarr and the Elixir. Journey up to the lunar kingdom. Explore the fairy realms, and finally, wrap things up with Cosmosis and the games.
So, Section 1, Birth of the Ethereal. Let's look at the origin of the cosmos.
It's wild to think about how this universe actually began. It wasn't just rocks and gas clumping together in a dark void. It literally started with a black hole reaching critical mass and imploding. But here's the kicker. The energy that got released, it was entirely unique because it was actually imbued with consciousness. This swirling maelstrom of raw thinking energy eventually structured itself, ignited into stars, and ultimately evolved into totally sentient planets. That's a massive paradigm shift, right? The planets themselves are living, feeling extensions of the cosmos.
And right from the heart of that ethereal consciousness, three incredibly unique foundation stars ignited. We've got the solar star, which is basically a beacon driving life and vitality, the lunar star acting as a gentle cosmic healer, and the Magi star serving as this ancient crucible of magic. Think of these stars as the ultimate source code for, well, the whole shebang. And right alongside them emerge the primordial aeons. These are literal manifestations of raw cosmic emotion and power, and they're basically driven to just create and experiment with these new planets.
Moving right along to Section 2, Yaenddarr and the Elixir. Let's zoom in on a sentient planet. Down on Yaenddarr, we find the Elysium Forest, and right at its heart flows Elixir. Now, the absolute crucial point here is that Elixir isn't just some standard magic water. It's actually the living, remembering heartbeat of the forest itself. It's basically the planet's blood. When something dies there, its essence gets meticulously cataloged by the Elixir. It absorbs emotional memories, relationship contours, and literally the very soul print of any being that touches it. It's like a giant biological hard drive.
There's this quote that goes, "Elixir doesn't heal because it is strong. It heals because it remembers us whole." That is a profound realization from the merfolk elder Salen, and it perfectly hits the nail on the head for how this magic actually works. It doesn't just violently knit flesh back together using brute force. Instead, it restores life by piecing together an emotional memory. It remembers the exact blueprint of an uninjured, completely whole being, and it gently guides the physical form right back to that state. Pretty amazing, right? Because the planet itself is alive, Yaenddarr's ecosystem is wonderfully and terrifyingly complex. It's all about balance. On one hand, you have the peaceful Florians who are deeply, intimately tied to the forest's root system. But then, they're coexisting right alongside these absolute nightmare predators, the hyperfast shadows and the Fera who emerge from the wildling field and the savage jungle. It creates this incredibly delicate and honestly often violent equilibrium between beings of light and beings of dark. Yeah, definitely not a forest you'd want to go camping in unprepared for sure. So to manage all this wildlife, the merfolk woke up a city deep beneath the surface called Cyralis. Think of Cyralis as a massive, completely sentient backup drive for souls. It's this wild underwater archive made of biocoral constructs that literally houses the DNA and the soul signatures of every single life form in the Sylvetran forest. So when the time is right, and only if the forest allows it, Cyralis can actually use the Elixir to reconstruct a being entirely from its stored memory.
All right, Section 3, the Lunar Kingdom. Let's look up at the celestial realms.
Way up high, floating above Yaenddarr, sits the Lunar Kingdom. This was actually created by the primordial aeon named Celestria, who literally shaped this breathtaking kingdom straight out of cosmic nothingness. Seriously, just imagine a totally tranquil, ethereal world made entirely out of silvered comet ice. You've got these towering celestial mountains and literal oceans of liquid moonlight. It's stunning. And this is the home she specifically built for her children, the Lunarites.
Now, the absolute pinnacle of power in this realm belongs to a character named Lycaios. Through some really intense training, Lycaios manages to unlock what's called the lunar star form. This form actually fuses both solar and lunar energies together. And he doesn't just cast standard spells, no, he uses pure emotion and breath to anchor and translate ancient glyphs. It grants him this unparalleled cosmic awareness, perfectly balancing healing light with destructive force.
But of course, there's a catch, and it's a big one: form invariance. Once he locks into this state, there's no going back. He absolutely cannot revert to his human or animal shapes.
Okay, Section 4, the Fairy Realms. We're diving into symbiotic magic.
The Fairy Realm and the Lunar Kingdom don't just exist in their own little bubbles. They actually share this massive, crucial intergalactic trade agreement. The Lunar Kingdom exports their lunar stars, which, remember, are crafted from advanced celestial tech, providing illumination and just tons of raw magical energy. And in return, the fairies export their Magi-stars. These are forged through super ancient magical rituals and offer really potent healing, protection, and even realm transportation. It is honestly just a perfect synthesis of high technology and ancient magic working together.
But actually mastering this imported magic? Yeah, it's not easy. Just look at Alara's journey of solar attunement. It starts off rough, like literally with a disaster. She triggers an uncontrolled flare detonation that completely shatters the Aether Loom, which is the fairy's main magical crafting device. So, fairy specialists have to step in to help her. They separate her, give her focused elemental training, and teach her to stop fighting the raw power. Instead, they show her how to create these gentle little heat pockets just to heal a dying moonvine. And eventually, she fully masters her prism-fold calibration. How? Not through brute force, but by actively channeling her own grief into warmth.
There's a great piece of advice Queen Serenity gives her struggling students. She says, "Power that roars cannot speak. Let it hum, and the stars will answer." I just love that. It perfectly illustrates the core philosophy of the fairy realms. True magical mastery isn't about how loud you can scream, or how massive an explosion you can create. It actually requires immense emotional discipline. You can't force it. You really just have to let the power hum.
Finally, Section 5, Cosmosis and the Games. Let's check out the ultimate intergalactic hub.
So as trade started exploding between all these different planets, Cosmosis was built out of sheer intergalactic necessity. We're talking about a sprawling, gritty cyberpunk metropolis located right on a desolate, mineral-rich asteroid belt. And the way they built it is insane. They used Echoan pyrokinetic engineering, which literally means they used fire magic to physically bend and shape the metal framework. Meanwhile, the incredibly super-intelligent Unix designed all the intricate life support and tech systems. Today, it serves as the absolute buzzing, chaotic central hub for all intergalactic commerce and culture.
Now, what exactly do you do when you cram thousands of heavily armed, super-powered beings from across the entire galaxy into one single city? Well, instead of just handing out noise complaints, you host the Cosmosis Games. To settle disputes and, let's be honest, to provide an unmatched galactic spectacle, they throw contestants into a brutally intense 3-stage tournament. It kicks off with a massive, chaotic, no-holds-barred battle royale survival arena. Then, teams have to navigate a deadly, constantly shifting labyrinth filled with traps and hidden enemies. And finally, the survivors face off in an ultimate, high-stakes, one-on-one tournament for the championship.
The source material gives us this incredible, vivid glimpse right into the arena. You can almost picture it, Dante and Jack fighting back-to-back against this huge horde of alien warriors. It's just this devastating blur. You have Dante using his advanced pyrokinesis to literally vaporize opponents, while Jack is utilizing these hyper-fast, phantom-like shadow fairy strikes to completely shatter enemy defenses. Together, they turn the arena into an absolute crucible of fire and shadow. It's awesome.
But hey, they definitely aren't the only heavy hitters in the city. Just imagine these terrifying elemental masters stepping into the arena. You've got the Iceons, who can instantly shape these impenetrable barriers, drop the temperatures to freezing, and even use regenerative healing. And then you have the Snowyons, who can literally manipulate the atmosphere to produce blinding blizzards and camouflage themselves seamlessly. Their ability to just completely hijack and control the arena's environment makes them incredibly formidable tactical opponents in pretty much any round of the games.
So as all these incredibly powerful factions, the magical fairies, the cosmic lunarites, the primal ecosystem of Yaenddarr, and the highly advanced citizens of Cosmosis, as they all continue to collide, trade, and battle it out in the arena, it really leaves us wondering. With celestial kingdoms, sentient forests, and sprawling metropolises converging, what is the ultimate fate of the ethereal star system? Will this intricate system find some kind of lasting cosmic balance? Or is the sheer overwhelming weight of all this raw ethereal power just going to tear the universe apart? Well, that is a question you'll have to keep exploring the source material to answer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep diving into the lore, and I'll see you next time.